Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much. Évidemment, nous sommes très contents d'être ici avec le Premier ministre Carney et les autres chefs du G7. Les réunions ont commencé aujourd'hui. Le Premier ministre a eu une série de réunions avec ses homologues. Nous avons participé ce matin à une longue réunion, une réunion que nous considérions productive avec M. Trump. On a eu, suite à la discussion avec le Premier ministre et M. Trump, une discussion avec l'ambassadeur Greer et d'autres représentants des États-Unis. On s'est convenu de continuer une autre rencontre plus tard cette semaine. Alors moi, je demeure confiant que nous faisons un progrès important. Obviously, we're happy to be in Alberta at the G7 in the Prime Minister's home province with G7 partners. The Prime Minister has begun a series of meetings. We began the day with a bilateral meeting with President Trump. It was a long and substantive meeting. The Prime Minister and the President discussed a myriad of issues, a number of geopolitical concerns, obviously the situation in the Middle East, but a large focus of that conversation was around trade and the tariffs that have been imposed and counter-imposed. We are confident, I think positive, that we made progress. Following the meeting between the President and the Prime Minister, Ambassador Hillman and I reconvened with U.S. Trade Representative Ambassador Greer and other officials from the United States, and we've agreed to have a further meeting later this week. So we think we've made progress, and we'll continue to do that important work over the next number of days.
Sorry, Kirsten, I just have a couple of things. One, also delighted to be in Alberta, a province where I grew up and much of my family continues to live, so that's lovely. I think that I would say that we feel that it's very important for the Prime Minister to be here with the President at this G7 meeting. We talked a lot about trade, and I'm sure you'll have lots of questions around that. But it's also important, as the Prime Minister has said, to convene the leaders of the world who have an opportunity to have an influence on some of the most difficult issues that are happening across the globe right now together. And the President Trump is obviously a very important, if not one of the most influential in some of the dynamics that are happening around the world. So I think that was also incredibly important for us, and it was an opportunity for our Prime Minister to speak with the President before going into the session with all of the leaders and to exchange with him around many of the topics that are going to be very important today and tomorrow.
What is the complex idea that Mr. Trump talked about? What is the complex idea that he said Prime Minister Carney has?
So I think it's an extension of an ongoing conversation that the leaders began when we were at the White House in May. We've also agreed with the Americans not to discuss the details of these conversations and the inevitable back and forth around different ideas and different scenarios publicly. The important thing is that we collectively think we're making progress in coming to a deal that would be in the economic interest of both countries, but we're not there yet, and that's why we reconvened after the meeting with the President and the Prime Minister, and we agreed to reconvene before the end of this week again.
Qu'est-ce que vous pouvez dire à ce moment-là sur ce qui bloque et sur l'échéance que vous espérez? On disait avant le G7, là on dit dans quelques semaines, dans quelques mois. Quelle est l'échéance et où ça bloque?
Je viens de dire en anglais, si on explique où ça bloque, là on vient de rentrer dans les détails des conversations, et moi je suis pas tout à fait même d'accord avec l'idée que ça bloque. On fait du progrès. Vous savez, le mot bloc ne m'intéresse pas énormément. Je suis plutôt optimiste avec le progrès que nous faisons. Moi, je suis tout à fait confiant. Le fait qu'on s'est réunis avec l'ambassadeur Greer suite à la rencontre avec M. Trump et le Premier ministre, on s'est convenu de se rencontrer encore une autre fois cette semaine. Et d'élaborer un échéancier qui va nous arriver le plus vite possible. Je comprends. Moi, j'aurais aimé que ce soit 2 semaines passées. Moi, j'aurais aimé que ce soit au mois de mai. Mais ça veut pas dire qu'on arrête de faire le travail. Ça veut pas dire on ne fait pas du progrès ensemble.
Mais dans le sommet,
et on
Monsieur
demeure confiant. On demeure confiant qu'on va y arriver.
Pouvez-vous dire là où
Et on
vous
est
avez...
au sommet, là. Si on s'est convenu de rencontrer plus tard cette semaine, vous avez peut-être là votre réponse.
Ça va être réglé dans le
là,
sommet?
là, vous avez accompli des progrès. Qu'est-ce que vous pouvez nous dire sur les secteurs où vous en avez accompli, puis sur ceux qui sont peut-être à discuter?
Je comprends que vous cherchez les détails. Vous voulez qu'on parle de secteur X ou secteur Y, l'échéancier, est-ce que c'est vendredi? Est-ce que c'est... Moi, j'ai vu ces scrums ici dans le passé. Je suis assez à l'aise avec ça, mais on s'est convenu, avec raison, et l'ambassadrice Hillman a beaucoup d'expérience dans ces conversations-là. On s'est convenu, nous et les États-Unis, de travailler ensemble de bonne foi et d'avancer. C'est ça que je crois que nous faisons. Et on s'est aussi convenu de ne pas discuter les détails de ces conversations.
Vous excluez la possibilité qu'il y ait une entente signée ici pendant le sommet.
Moi, je suis toujours optimiste, mais je ne suis pas naïf quant au travail qui reste à faire, mais je suis encouragé par le progrès encore là aujourd'hui.
In terms of principles, where there's no tariffs, do you see a path to an agreement where tariffs are lifted as Canada demands?
So when we talk about, the sectors that we're paying attention to, the sectors that matter, we're talking about the extent to which the Canadian economy is being affected by the tariffs that the administration has put on Canada. Tariffs that run counter to the CUSMA, tariffs that run counter to the agreement that we have with the United States. That is our goal. Our goal is to get the tariffs off, to get to a place of stability, and to then, talk to the president about if there's a transformation to happen in the way in which we trade. Let's talk about that. We have had a lot of, especially recently, I think, productive conversations where we are understanding each other better, or we feel they're understanding us better. That happened again today, both with the leaders and in the subsequent meeting that Minister LeBlanc is talking about. But we are not there yet. We have a president who is very convinced of the policy that he has around tariffs in order to achieve some of his policy goals. We are very convinced that applying that policy to Canada is actually detrimental to his overall goals, and we are trying to get there with him and his officials so that they understand our perspective. This takes time, it takes a lot of data, it takes a lot of facts, but we are, and I think I would say this, I think the minister would agree, we feel a sense of acceleration in the discussions in the last couple of weeks, and that is a very good thing.
And the leaders did agree. I think the ambassador made a good point. The leaders did agree at the conclusion of the conversation this morning that we collectively accelerate our work in this regard. Those were the instructions that we got from our side, and obviously the Americans share that view. If Ambassador Greer and senior officials were available 2 hours later and are discussing what day later this week we should reconvene, that's encouraging for us.
So, Ms. Hillman, can we take it to mean that you're not willing to live with the baseline tariff? Can we take it to mean you're not willing to live with the baseline tariff or a residual tariff like the UK?
Canada is arguing for removal of tariffs. We are in the middle of a discussion. We are not at the end of the discussion. Our position is that we should have no tariffs on Canadian exports to the United States. That is our position. We will continue to talk until we find the deal that is the best deal we can achieve for Canada.
Did the president bring up any allusions to still annexing Canada, domination, economic? Did he bring that up at all during these meetings?
The president is very respectful of the Prime Minister and of Canada. He spoke many times about how much he likes it here, how much he likes Canada.
How happy he was to be in Alberta.
Yeah. How beautiful he
But
thought
not
when
that
he was in
not that he wants to make it a 51st state. Did he mention that?
We're not going to go into the private details of the conversation.
Our
focus was on the economic opportunity of working with the United States, and that was the conversation that the Prime Minister had.
Did he say that he loves it?
Monsieur LeBlanc, vous dites que la conversation était beaucoup sur le commerce, surtout là-dessus. Or, ça fait quand même des mois que le Canada dit que la priorité, ça va être l'Ukraine. Est-ce qu'il y a assez de place pour parler de la guerre en Ukraine?
Encore là, le Premier ministre va décider comment il va décrire la conversation. Il y avait une partie de la conversation qui était tête-à-tête avant la réunion plus élargie. J'ai compris de M. Carney que les conversations ont touché plusieurs sujets d'ordre internationaux, mais quelqu'un d'autre pourra vous donner un compte-rendu si c'est approprié, c'est pas à moi de faire ça.
Monsieur Trump est ici, il mène une guerre commerciale contre tous ses partenaires du G7. Pouvez-vous expliquer quelle sorte de dynamique ça crée autour de la table ou dans les discussions?
Mais ça, c'est quelque chose que nous allons voir après les discussions. Nous y sommes pas. Ça, c'est une question pour ceux qui sont autour de la table. On était assez occupés avec nos discussions avec l'ambassadeur.
Mais des discussions de couloir, ça dit quoi? Un front commun? Est-ce qu'il y a une crainte de faire un front commun parce que M. Trump n'en veut pas de front commun?
Je comprends que vous êtes enthousiaste, mais je crois que M. Carney aura une conférence de presse demain. C'est une excellente question à poser à celui qui aurait présidé toutes ces conversations-là. Moi, je n'y étais pas. J'étais focusé sur mon travail avec les Américains. Je suis convaincu que M. Carney pourra vous répondre. Again, a very good question. The Prime Minister and the President discussed a series of international issues. Our participation and focus was on the trade issue with the United States, and the Prime Minister will be available, I think, tomorrow to discuss all these other different conversations.
Mexico.
Workers are running out of patience, you said on Sunday.
Mexico, U.S., Canada. Is there plan for a three-way discussion?
I don't have any information on that.
I don't have any
Workers
information.
are running out of patience, you said on Sunday. What do you say to those workers?
I'm looking forward to meeting the Mexican economy minister later this afternoon in Calgary. My hope is that Mr. Ebrard will be in Calgary, and I'll have an opportunity to talk to him. It'll be my first meeting with him. I'm looking forward to doing that, I hope, later today in Calgary.
Workers and businesses running out of patience, you said on Sunday. What about those folks?